Well, good morning, Carbondale. Thank you so much for tuning in to WDBX 91.1. You are listening to Talk of the Town. This is Eva Fisher, and actually not coming at you live. I'm doing a pre-recorded Zoom interview with Dr. Clover Johnson right now. She was gracious enough to conduct this interview with me while she is out of town. So, before I dive into my conversation with Dr. Clover Johnson here, we're going to be talking about an amazing event that's coming up on July 19th. But I'm going to tell you of a couple other things we got going this week. So this week, SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, is celebrating 40 years. So if you want to join the party on Wednesday, July 16th, come on over to the Dunn Richmond Economic Development Center from 4:30 to 6:30. There's going to be business representatives from each decade of these past 40 years that the SBDC has helped these entrepreneurs get their start, get them on their feet, and help them thrive through the decades. So it's really exciting. I love the work they do. It's always so cool to see all of Carbondale's amazing entrepreneurs that come through here. So yeah, join that party. Speaking of parties, we have the SIU Black Alumni Reunion kicking off this week. So on the 17th, there are going to be a plethora of activities beginning all the way through the 20th. So there's just so much going on. So, come to that sunset concert, Sean Holt and the Teardrops. They're going to have an awesome after party at the Indigo Lounge. And yeah, just things every single day. So they have a Facebook group, the SIU Black Alumni Reunion group, if you want to join that. We have on our Carbondale, Illinois tourism page, we have a whole list of July offerings. This is on there. You can click on the Eventbrite link to see what all is going on. And yeah, it should be a great time. So that offering is out there for that group. And yeah, that is all I have to tell y'all. Seems like this past weekend um, had everything going on from the community social hour, the Baki Block Party, the Summer Latin Nights, the Y'all Rock Carbondale Showcase, jam-packed summer weekend. Um, but yeah, now we are going to move into this coming weekend. Saturday, July 19th. I have brought you on. I'll let you say hello, Dr. Clover Johnson. How are you today?
I'm so great. And wow, I'm just sitting back thinking about all of these things, and I feel
Yeah.
like in such great company to be able to present the opportunity, the event that we're having. And just really, on the day that I'm not presenting, I encourage everybody to go do those things.
Yes. Yeah. So much going on all the time. It's
Yes, yes, yes.
Carbondale summer.
It
Um,
has been. And so, with the event that I'm presenting, I really just want to thank I'm just looking away for a second. I just want to thank Illinois Arts Council, Southern
mhm.
Arts Fund, Art Space 204, and Illinois Humanities for the opportunity and support in allowing me to present the event that I have that you have announced. And that event is Dancing Under the Drinking Gourd with Chris Valillo. And so it's
Awesome.
really a super event.
Yeah, I am so excited that this offering is here for our community this weekend. It's at the First Christian Church, which is on West Monroe Street in Carbondale from 5:30 to 8:30. And now, Chloe, I'm going to let you um, give our listeners some more kind of background on this event, some context to this event. So this is being hosted by Southern Illinois Contra Dance Group, correct?
Yeah, Southern Illinois Community Contra Dance.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
the community is a huge part. So I will start actually in talking about Southern Illinois Community Contra Dance and
Yeah.
weave into the event. Um, Contra dance is, for people who don't know, it's a long line dance. It looks like square dance if you're just a casual observer, but if you are doing the dance, you are realizing that you're progressing down the line. These dances have been known as barn raisers. They've been known to happen in the early Americas when people were finished for celebration, for commemoration. And so it's a lineage of the United States, but it's also a lineage of Black Americans. And so I am really honored that the community has supported me, both the community in Southern Illinois and the global contra dance community, in doing some of the things that I do in presenting special events for contra dance or connected to contra dance. And dancing under the drinking gourd is one such event.
Yeah.
So I saw Chris Valillo in Anna, Illinois, a few months ago. And when I saw him, he was performing, I think he was performing songs of freedom and maybe like civil rights spirituals. And I saw him and I thought, you have got to come to our contra dance and do a performance. And, he was so agreeable to it. And he also has a passion and a heart for lineage and roots music. And so the dance well, let me tell you a little bit more about Chris. So
Yeah.
Chris is a Rhodes Scholar with Illinois Humanities Speakers Bureau, and he's done like maybe 35 years of documenting histories of rural America and telling the stories that have sometimes been forgotten. And he has a program or has a product or presentation called Frigatonia, I think that's how you pronounce it, where he goes into singing songs of rural America, and particularly around the Macomb area. But
Cool.
he's also documented songs like Songs of Freedom. And so hearing Chris sing songs that I grew up with, like Woke Up This Morning with My Mind, just different songs like that was amazing to me. And we got together and said, let's, what can we do that is in conjunction with contra dance? And so we came up with this. And it gives it kind of in contra dance, we have this black lineage of musicians, banjo players, and fiddle players primarily, although there's like lots of rhythm involved. And so you would have also have people on some percussion instruments, and also just the flat footers or those people who are doing tap dance like footwork would also have been keeping some of the rhythm in the dance. So we have that, but also one of the things that happened is that there was kind of a gap in the music of the Black Americans. So in the area of contra dance. So Chris kind of comes in and he picks up where that gap exists. So he's not able to talk about the transition of contra dance to or those roots musicians into where blues picked up, but he is able to really talk about the intertwining of the roots of Black musicians with music that's going on in the United States in general.
Amazing. Goodness. Yeah. What rich history condensed and packed into this one event.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And so, just again, looking at where we were in the music and looking at where we are, it's really interesting to think about like what music, how music evolved and who brought that music where. And so
Hmm.
Chris is going to be doing some of that. And so one of the interesting things to me is that musicians like Lonnie Johnson, who we know as blues musicians, he was actually a fiddler and he started as a fiddler and then he evolved. And so
Cool.
just looking at like what happened um, in the world, and there are things that were happening. So, for example, general in music migration happened, and so you have blacks who are moving from the south to the north. And then after the Civil War you had just the ending of kind of like these celebrations that were happening in after labor. And you also had like just kind of the associations of it being with the minstrel show and then a religious influence. And so Chris kind of goes into some of those things, not so much as they relate to contra dance, but he will talk about just where the influences have come from, those religious influences, work songs, labor songs, and things like that.
That is so fantastic. Um, I'm excited about this kind of combination offering of having this music performance with the dancing because you have introduced contra dance to our Southern Illinois community. And it seems like you've had a steady group of people who like to come to that. I'm sure that there are some folks out there who are interested, but perhaps a little intimidated. Maybe, oh, I'm not sure if I want to get up and dance, but maybe I feel funny just going to watch. This feels like a perfect introductory event for anyone who's interested because they can sit, take in the music, hear that presentation. And then if they feel inspired to join the dance, then they can at the end of that. Or they're already, in that kind of audience mode, if you will. Yeah, so I think this would be a great one for anyone who's been interested to see what this contra dance community is all about to come to.
That is really perfect. And thank you for saying that. I do just want to say that Contra Dance was in Carbondale before I came.
Okay,
But
great.
with COVID, like many things, it was dormant and it had been dormant
Hmm.
for a few years. And so when I came, I've been doing Contra Dance for about 20 years. And so when I came to Carbondale, hey, I wanted to dance. And so someone said, well, then you should organize it. And so then I
Yeah.
did. And it is, so I mentioned the community aspect a little bit earlier. Our dance is run differently because it is with a focus on community. So my background is as a social worker, but also in community organizing and also connecting and collaborating. And so unlike many contra dances, which are just wonderful, 3 hour dances where you come and you dance for 3 hours, I did not think that number one, our dance community, starting off with many people who had never done the dance before, would be able to support 3 hours of dance as new dancers.
Hmm.
We also don't have musicians, we have recorded music.
Okay.
Here's a plug for any musicians who want to play with us.
Yeah.
um, and so, what we have woven in is a lot of connectivity. We have a meal before the dance. The dance is free or pay what you can. And, if nothing is what you can pay, that includes this dance that's being supported by all of those wonderful funders. But just in general, the dance is free. We often will have a community speaker. In the past, we've had people come to talk about Narcan or disaster preparedness or finances. That's all part
Awesome.
of the dance. And then we also will have an education component. So, one of the things that I did at the dance for Juneteenth was to unveil my installation of art. And so, what I did was to reimagine the Black callers and musicians, many of who don't have images. And I used AI to create images of these musicians. But
Cool.
I also lifted my imagination into AI. For example, one of these pieces is called Whole Note Coda for Fraction of a man, and it for 1/16th of a man. And so
Cool.
for musicians, you will know that a coda is like an ending. And looking at that fraction piece, you're able to visualize what it might have been like to be a Black musician whose only relevance was being a musician. So that's also part of the dance. So you get a lot of bang for your
Yeah.
time buck when you come to a community dance. And if you only want to come on any time and just listen to music recorded but fun, watch people dance, eat good food, and network or collaborate or get an oxytocin boost, you can do that also at the dance. And so that will definitely happen at this dance as well, where you're going to be able to kind of be escorted into the dance via Chris and his conversations with the dialogue with the audience that often happens, and then that dance component.
Amazing. My goodness, how lovely. There are so many components weaved into this. If you're just tuning in, we're about halfway through our show. I'm speaking with Dr. Clover Johnson. She is the organizer of the current day Southern Illinois Community Contra Dance. And we're talking about the upcoming event this coming weekend, Dancing Under the Drinking Gourd, featuring acclaimed roots musician Chris Valio. And that's Saturday, July 19th at the First Christian Church, 5:30 to 8:30. It's a free admission, you know, or I'm sure donations will be gladly accepted at this as well. Um, and congrats, by the way, Dr. Johnson. That's a recent accomplishment that you've received this doctorate in education, yeah?
Yeah, and so I'm able to weave that in as well. So for Juneteenth, what I did, and this is part of it's the tail end of the series called Raíces Entrelazadas, and that's in Spanish, or Roots Intertwined in English, and looking at how our roots are so intertwined in music.
Hmm.
And so one of the things with the drinking gourd, for people who know the song, Follow the Drinking Gourd,
Uh-huh.
it is a reference to how the constellation of the Big Dipper was able to lead people, freedom seekers, north generally to freedom. And so I look at dancing under the drinking gourd as the constellation of those musicians and callers who have gone before us, that we are following the drinking gourd again, because there are a whole new group of musicians, roots musicians, who are coming together and who are acknowledging the past and our lineage of music in early American music. Rhiannon Gittens, Brandy Pacewaller, Dom Flemons, to name just a few, that these are people who are reviving that music, have seamlessly, in the case of the Carolina Chocolate Drops, revived that music and have offered a bit of continuity in this music. And so that's where the name comes from. But also, I just wanted to say that there is a lineage in Southern Illinois, in Carbondale, and places around us that I would also like for this event to touch.
Hmm.
So those people like Seth Weeks, who was a mandolin player in the 1800s, who had, we may not know much about these people. He was born in Southern Illinois and was there, and other people who we know there were music and dance events in Carbondale, and we know that there were musicians,
Yeah.
but they are nameless and faceless as of now. So I'm hoping that an event like this, where we are talking about other people from other spaces, can provoke a memory or an awakening in us being able to trace and track and document our musicians from Southern Illinois, from the Southern Illinois area.
Gosh, this is giving me chills. I'm so excited about this. What a gorgeous way to honor those past musicians. And we talk a lot about Carbondale being this, this music city, this music hub. There's so much live music, and that's been such an important component, that we've seen in modern years. And just to take that time to investigate and look back further is so important, and really, really sit with the roots of that and understanding that. So thank you for bringing all this to the table. I love it.
And
Um,
I'm mhm.
no, you
And
go
I
ahead.
know there are musicians. I know there's Archie Thompson, who is a bass player, and there's Richard Pryor, who is a harmonica player. And I know there are musicians who, who are there now, who may have learned from people in Southern Illinois. And
Hmm.
I know there are other people who are listening who are going to be able to say, yeah, I remember blank blank, or yeah, I heard of this person, but to be able to come together and to document that. And so I feel like this event is kind of like the beginning of that, to be able to document our lineage of musicians. There's a musician, his name was Sawney Freeman, and he was a fiddler. He was an
Yeah.
enslaved man. And Sawney's music was just found. He was a composer as well. He was not just a fiddler. Not that there was anything wrong with being a fiddler,
Hmm.
but he was a composer, and he had a vast amount of works that were found in a church in the East. And his music is played every Juneteenth now, has been for the last couple of years. I wonder what uncovered music mysteries are just waiting to be found in Southern Illinois. And
Yeah.
again, I am hoping that an event like this will kick off just this yearning to know more about our musical lineage and our musical roots here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you are starting that archaeological investigation, if you will. I love it. Chloe, we got about, just a little under 10 minutes left here of our show. What do you want people to know more about the Southern Illinois Community Contra Dance organization?
Sure. Definitely that we reach out. One of the other events that we did, two of the events that we did one with the Cobden Library, and we did that because the Underground Railroad went south into Mexico as well, and every year they celebrate for 150 years now. They have been celebrating in the town of Nacimiento del Negro. And so we wanted to acknowledge the extended roots that Black people continue, that lineage that is still recognized in Mexico between the two borders, or between the border, cities between that border, but may not have a lot of knowledge traction here. And so Southern Illinois Community Contra Dance is also really dedicated to education, and not just Black, not just white, but everyone. And having that event was a way of saying we acknowledge that there were other people besides Black and white people here in the United States
Hmm.
from the time that the United States was incepted.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What have you seen so far as you've been hosting these events? I'm just curious what that kind of impact already perhaps has been that you've seen, or perhaps that patrons who have joined this have expressed to you.
I will say that it has been a jubilee. Like
Yeah.
for people who know the concept of jubilee, of just having this kind of freedom and liberty, it has been like that. So I tracked it. There are about 20 regular people
Okay.
who show up every time we have a dance, and there's another 20 semi-regular who, as their schedules permit, they come, and like another 15 or so who drop in occasionally. And so this has created a network of fellowship and community. We are not just people who randomly dance together, but we are people who have found our way to being a communal space, a place where people can come, and not just on that third Saturday of the month, but throughout the month. The dance would not be without people like Livy Maxey, who comes every dance and helps in the kitchen along with Christy, and our callers who have just been so dedicated, and our caller Joe Surdick, who will call anytime I ask him to do so. So it is such a community space, and looking at what we have been able to do and decreasing our own isolation. That's one of the reasons I started the dance, to decrease my own isolation as somebody
Hmm.
new coming into Carbondale.
Yeah. Gosh, well, how fantastic. I love that you just came in and are like, you know what? I'm gonna make this happen. That's what I love about that Carbondale energy and community spirit. You really can kind of um create anything you want here, and you're going to find some people who are there. They're there for that ride. So awesome that you've had this consistent community. I have been itching to get to it. I know I met you and I'm like, oh, you're doing contra dance. I had a wonderful experience going to a contra dance when I was living in Southwest Virginia, and they had the live musicians and the callers, and just incredible. And then I unfortunately had a bad foot injury soon after meeting you. So I'm almost there. I'm almost fully healed. I'm almost ready to be out there dancing with y'all.
You
Um,
better come on and dance with your girl.
yes, yes, you know it. I'm craving it. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. What else did I want to ask you here real fast, Chloe? Anything else specifically about this event that you want people to know about?
Specifically about the event, I think that people should really come with their singing voices on, like nobody's going to make you sing. But
Awesome.
again, Chris has a dialogue with history, and he's kind of like a musical docent
Hmm.
who kind of like escorts you through the Museum of Musician Time and historical time in music. So come prepared to see but experience through song, and just come prepared to open your mind to spaces in your mind that you may not have been before.
Yeah. Oh, how incredible. I'm excited. I know this is going to hit some um, really neat nostalgic nerves for me. I had this VHS tape when I was little that I would watch all the time. It was an animated film called Follow the Drinking Gourd, and it had the song that played at the beginning, and it told the story of the Underground Railroad, and I loved it. I wonder if I could find a copy somewhere. But so I know hearing that song is going to bring me back to those memories of when I first learned about that. And I know that I'll get, a new depth of history with this. So fantastic. Yeah, that again, remind everybody this weekend, Saturday, July 19th, is the Dancing Under the Drinking Gourd event. This is a art for healing racial trauma event. And yeah, gonna have acclaimed roots musician Chris Valio. Am I pronouncing his name right there?
Balilo.
Valilo.
Balilo. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Hmm.
This is at
Hmm.
the First Christian Church, 306 West Monroe in Carbondale. So yeah, this is just going to be a really, really special time.
Yes, it really is. And I think like if you come and you want to bring another person with you,
Hmm.
you can bring as many people as you want to. We would
Yeah.
appreciate it. And it's an opportunity. Chris has been here in Southern Illinois a couple of times, but he hasn't done this kind of performance with like where it's contra dance and the
Hmm.
music. So, get your dance shoes on and get ready and come.
Yeah, absolutely. And is this a family-friendly event? Encourage
This is
people to all
everyone
ages?
friendly. It's everything friendly. And I like that also that, it's accessibility
Hmm.
friendly. It is all ages. We have the youngins, the littles, they do this dance better than I do.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yes, I'm sure they pick it up quick and they just, no inhibitions. Just let the music move through them.
Yes.
We can
Yes,
learn a lot from those
absolutely.
from those littles for sure.
Yeah.
Well, this has been absolutely fantastic speaking with you. Um, and just great. I hope that our listeners out there, if you hadn't heard about contra dance happening, that perhaps you have a little spark of interest. And yeah, this is a wonderful event to check out for all you music lovers as well. So encourage everyone to get out there this Saturday. All right, Chloe. Well, thank you so incredibly much for coming on and speaking with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing everybody at the dance.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in today to Talk of the Town, and we'll chat with you next week. All right. Have a good one.